This is, I think you know, Lisa Harris in Michigan. And she's also a part-time professor at the University of Michigan. She's an abortionist. And she was pregnant while she was doing abortions. And she wrote an article. I'm surprised she wrote it. I'm surprised it got published and everything. But so she said, I'm quoting, there was a leg and foot in my forceps and a thump in my abdomen. Instantly, tears were streaming from my eyes.
She's doing an 18-week abortion.
While she's 18 weeks pregnant.
While she's 18 weeks pregnant.
Right.
And, okay, I go, when I first started reading, I thought, oh, it's a Carol Everett story. She's repenting and seeing the light and see the wrong of what she's doing. No, it gets better. She wrote an article, The Second Trimester Abortion Provision, Breaking the Silence and Changing the Discourse. She said that she wants to explain the ethical position, says it helps her and other abortionists continue practicing despite the moral and psychological. You know, I can't.
The moral and psychological problems that she's having with this abortion, she has to overcome to continue to do these abortions.
There's two ththings. She says later, the pro-lifers call us butchers. She says, we are butchers.
Yes.
She admits all of it. And she says abortion is different from other surgical procedures. I put, you think? You know. Right. Then, see, she says that there is a need to cross borders and boundaries in order to reflect seriously of the question of how providers determine their limit for abortion. You know, like nothing's wrong with the first trimester, I guess. And warn that the issues surrounding the question may be frankly too dangerous for pro-choice movements to acknowledge. Why?
That's right. Because they've got to accept every abortion.
She's admitting that they've got to keep all of this stuff hidden. They've got to keep it out of the public view. They've got to keep it out of the view of their own colleagues because they might not get into it.
Let's go back to this point. She is now dismembering this 18-week-old
With
baby.
leg and foot, she pulls the leg.
She pulls the leg, and all of a sudden there's a pull on the forceps, and at the same time, she says there's like an electromagnetic pulse that goes through her arm to her abdomen, and then her own baby at 18 weeks kicks herself. So she finishes the abortion as she's bawling.
And she takes extra interest in looking at the baby parts in the pan because it would resemble the time of the baby she's carrying gestation. And
these people, I'm telling you, they're sick. These people are sick.
Consequently, she was more interested than usual in seeing the fetal parts when she was done because they would so closely resemble those of her own fetus. I put Frankenstein by that. That reminded me of Frankenstein. But here's one. I had to, I had to read it like 5 times because the first time my blood pressure went up and my heart's palpitating, and I'm pacing and wanting to cry out.
So you're either in angst or in love, one or the other.
It was not love. She says when she describes how the second trimester abortion is done. But see, I want to say that the first trimester is every bit as grisly. It's every bit as horrible. It's every bit dismembering. Sure is it just because they're smaller that makes it okay?
The more they look like us, the more we get upset about it. That's the reality.
Well, she says, what kind of dissociative process inside us allows us to do this routinely? What normal person does this kind of work? I said, a possessed one. You got to be possessed, right?
What normal person does this
line
of
of
work?
person does.
This is an abortionist speaking about her own trade.
Right.
Do you think an auto mechanic says that?
No.
And then
it doesn't change her mind.
Nothing changes.
That's why I say these people are psychos. They're psychos. They're nuts.
Oh, but wait. It's much better. So she says she went through a task of reassembling fetal parts, metal tray, odd ritual that abortion providers perform, required to make sure nothing's left because infection gets in, they die, whatever. She didn't say it. But it also permits us, in an odd way, to pay respect to the fetus. I went, what? There are no words.
She's only saying what these people experience every day, and that's the thing pro-lifers need to understand. Yeah. What we hear in this office and what you deal with in your office, this is the garbage we hear all the time. Right. This is what these people's lives are like.
And she talks about how other abortionists have drunk problems and relationship problems, and well, my gosh.
Which is the Achilles heel of the abortion industry, which is why it's so easy oftentimes to put these guys out of business. Look at McBrayer. We heard about it on the news. He's driving down the road. A woman cuts him off. 8 blocks later, he jumps out of his car, punches this woman in the face with her 2 children in the back seat. The guy's nuts.
Right. They are crazy. I'm telling you, they're nuts. But let me. Oh yeah, go ahead. Finish up. I got to.
You need to calm. Is your blood pressure going up? Let's see. She says. The narrator says Harris tackles the ethical and moral positions that allow for gray areas. Do you have any gray areas on this? I don't have any gray areas. The abortion provision by advocating the gradualist perspective. The respect owed to a fetus increases as pregnancy advances and the fetus becomes more like a born person because it looks, we can't deny it's, not a basket or a snake or something. But she says we have to simultaneously acknowledge the value of early human life and be woman-centered. Well, I put on there self-centered, not hardly, but it's very self-centered because she says more serious than early abortions are the second trimester abortions, and the concern is that women have all sorts of compelling and legitimate reasons for choosing abortion. And I said, let me give you 3: self, self, self. And there's no legitimate reason. We all know that. Anyway, she talks about the care that is given above that she's described. And then she says she contests the point, arguing that rather weakening the argument of abortion, facing abortion with honesty. I wrote, honesty? Show the mom the metal pan. Mm-hmm. There's honesty for you.
Or show it to her on the sonogram before you do it.
Yeah, exactly. And
or give her this article and let her read it before you do her abortion.
That's even better.
Well, that would cut the money. She wouldn't get paid. But she said it's every bit as violent to deny a woman an abortion. And again,
this is rationalization.
What?
That they have to rationalize what they're doing. And it's like when you hear men who rape little children. I read an article when we were doing the research for the child predator thing, and they had interviewed this guy in the penitentiary, and he had raped children as young as 16 months old. He had raped little girls as young as 16 months. And the oldest one he had raped, they said he had raped probably 300 children before he actually got caught. And some of them were 5 and 6, but some of them were as young as 16 months. He, when they interviewed him, rationalized it. He said, look, they enjoyed it. They don't know how to express that they want to have sexual relationships. And he said, these children enjoyed it. These little girls that I was having sex with enjoyed it. And he just went on and rationalized it. His thought process, which was sick, was exactly like this woman, Lisa Harris. These people are sick, I'm telling you. But let me tell you something else that's come out of this that we really need to pay attention to. This woman now is being held as a hero by some on the pro-abortion side.
Because she's so honest?
Because she come forward and she's, even despite all of this, she continues to support women's rights. Right. And so continues, she not only does abortions, she trains other people to do abortions. And so she's kind of become a hero to them. Mm-hmm. And one of the things you keep hearing, and one of the things she kind of alluded to is that, we have to do the tough work of the pro-choice movement. It's easy to go out here and just talk about it, but we do the actual heavy lifting. Mm-hmm. You know what? If you go back and read some of the stuff that Heydrich said, Himmler, Hitler, there's no quotes from him about it, but there are from Himmler and Heydrich and others that were involved in the Nazi Holocaust, where they said, look, 100 years from now, people are going to look back on the Nazi Holocaust, what we're doing with the Jews. They're going to look back and see us as heroes, as the people that had to do the hard work. And, Himmler, when he went out and saw some executions and he got sick to his stomach and threw up and all this stuff, and he made that statement that, our people are doing the hard work that everybody knows has to be done. And yes, it's distasteful and it's not something we enjoy doing, but we're having to do the heavy lifting, the hard work. And the language that they used is exactly what this woman is saying and what all her defenders are saying. These people are mentally ill. Anyway, we could.
I don't even know if mentally ill covers it. It's beyond that. It's beyond. They're evil.
They're pathologically evil. They're thoroughly evil.